Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 47. They raced across the desert, hoping to arrive in time to help the residents escape the disaster. But the evening was closing in. Feeling the truck start to shake, Monroe told them, "Look alive, we got another quake coming." "Look out, Chappie, that tree's coming down," Cole panicked, watching the roots tear from the ground. Chappie spun the wheel and the tires squealed as the ground cracked underneath them. "The road is screwed," Chappie declared, slowing the truck down. "Turn into this parking lot. Let's see if we can find a detour," Cole told him. "Looks like it ends over there. We may have to do some four-wheeling, but we can make it," Monroe suggested, pointing out the direction. "Here we go," Chappie cheered as the truck bounced across the dirt. Johnny smiled widely, jazzed from the adventure. "Woo-hoo! I'm glad I came out here. This is exciting." "Wait till you see a lava flow. You may think twice," Chappie warned. "Speaking of, we need to move. These people are counting on us, and we need to get there before the feds," Cole insisted. "Wouldn't the feds help, sir?" Johnny inquired. "They'll save the supplies, but they could care less about the people," Monroe explained. Johnny's brow furrowed curiously. "How can they do that?" "Welcome to the Badlands," Chappie told the young man. "There's no one out here to stop them," Monroe interjected. "Except us," Cole added confidently. "There's the smoke," Chappie pointed out at the horizon. "Where?" Johnny asked, poking his head between the two front seats to get a better view. "See it out on the horizon?" "I see it," Johnny said excitedly. They watched it grow closer and closer. "Someone is already here helping," Jessup declared as they approached. "Who?" Johnny wondered, craning his head to see. "I don't know, but you can see their trucks lined up over there," Jessup explained, pointing at the vehicles. "Maybe the feds are already here," Chappie suggested. "Look at those vehicles. They're not federal transports," Monroe corrected, noticing their piecemeal construction. "Oh, crap," Cole mumbled, recognizing a figure he knew well in the distance. "What, Major?" Johnny wondered, hearing his reaction. "It's the Western militia," Cole answered. "Should I get the rifles ready, sir?" Jessup inquired. "No, we aren't doing any more killing today. If they're here to help, let them do it," Cole instructed. "But, sir, the feds are hunting them. They're on our bounty list," Jessup countered. "You heard my order, Private," Cole snapped back. "Yes, sir," the young soldier acquiesced. "Our first priority is getting those people to safety, no matter what it takes to achieve that goal," Cole informed him. "Yes, sir," Jessup agreed as they pulled up. The heat from the lava was oppressive, and the buildings ignited one by one as it oozed down the street. "The mercs are here, weapons ready," one of the militia members called, but Cassidy's voice quickly canceled that order. "Stow that weapon, soldier," Cassidy insisted, watching Cole approach. "We came to help. We'll save our fight for another day," Cole told her. "We've got people sheltering in that building to the north. The lava is at the bottom. We need a bridge up high to get them out," Cassidy informed him. "Monroe, take your team and get it done," Cole directed. "Yes, sir," Monroe responded, taking his men to follow Cole's order. "Chappie, get your supplies and lend medical assistance," Cole commanded. "Yes, sir," Chappie agreed, taking his men away. "Johnny, you're with me," Cole directed. "Jessup, shut our trucks down and cover them. Move those extra vehicles in a line over there. At least it will slow down the lava." "I can help him," Johnny suggested. Tired of his men questioning his orders, Virgis snapped, "No, you stay with me." "But," Johnny began. Cole cut him off, looking directly at him for a moment. "Do we have a problem, Private?" Remembering his place, Johnny replied humbly, "No, sir." "Good," Cole told him, watching Cassidy approach. She was full of purpose, and her passion always aroused him. Major Virgis, a moment of your time, she requested. Walking behind a vehicle with her, Cole asked quietly, "What are you doing out here? The feds are en route, Cassidy. They'll kill you or take you in for the reward." She whispered back, "We need the people and the supplies. We didn't have a choice. You need to get your people and go, now." Before he could convince her, his radio sounded requesting, "Major Virgis, status update." "We have arrived at the target location. Salvage operation underway," Cole replied. "We're en route. ETA 30 minutes. Stand by for evacuation orders," the radio instructed. 10-4. "We'll see you soon," he replied, re-clipping the radio to his belt. He looked around, but Cassidy had left. He returned to the other side of the vehicle, where Johnny stood waiting for him. "Where did she go?" "She's over at the lead truck, sir," Johnny replied. Approaching her, Cole told her flatly, "That's it, Cassidy. They're en route, and I can't cover for you once they get here. I'll have enough to answer for as it is." Cassidy told her crew, "That's it, guys. We're leaving now." She paused for a moment, looking coyly at Cole. "Thank you, Virgis. I'll make it up to you." Making a mental note to hold her to that promise, Cole said coolly, Yeah. Just get the hell out of here." "We're gone," she told him with a sly smile, jumping into the passenger seat of a truck. Cole stood watching them leave, wondering how he would spin this story. "Sir, the vehicles are in place, but I'm not sure how long they'll hold," Jessup reported. "Monroe, status update," Cole inquired on his radio. "We're getting the last of them out now, sir," Monroe's voice answered. "Chappie, get those injured loaded," Cole directed. "I'll get them all, sir. You know the feds won't leave anyone behind," Chappie commented. "Private, start loading any supplies in our truck. Let's get all we can before the feds get here," Cole commanded, satisfied that the people were taken care of. "Yes, sir," Johnny answered. While loading whatever food, clothing, and seed stock they could find, Johnny looked puzzled. "What?" Cole asked. "What did Chappie mean by they're not leaving anyone behind?" Johnny asked. "If a refugee is hurt too badly, the feds won't transport them," Cole explained. "What do? "They shoot them," Cole responded coldly. "What?" Johnny asked, frozen in place and looking at Cole in disbelief. "We don't have time for this discussion now. Go get as much as you can. Trust me, we're going to need it. Look for tires and oil." "Yes, sir," Johnny agreed, trying to stay focused. Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 447, season 15, episode 47. Hey, Chin, what is up?
Hey, Chin's up, y'all.
Chin's back in the house.
I had to break out the map to find my way back to the studio.
I know. I was like, it's been like 3 weeks, I think. It's almost like a month. Shoot. So, yeah, we're doing lots of catching up in the green room. Love to see everybody in chat. Hello, guys. How you doing? Hope everybody is doing well tonight, being that the United States got its butt kicked by some storms over the last week. So we'll be talking about that later in the Changing Earth news.
Yeah, we had tornado warnings.
Right? Yeah.
Where I live.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
In the Carolinas. I was like, what?
I woke up at like the middle of the night. We're like running for shelter.
Yeah, Pennsylvania got hit by like a bunch.
You could hear the sirens outside. I'm like, where the hell are those sirens coming from?
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
We had one go east of us, one go west of us, but we were like in the center good spot. I don't know what happened there.
I think there's a dam within hearing distance. The siren was probably originally put there for the dam, but I think they used it.
Yeah, just in case. To go.
Mm-hmm. That was crazy because that's the only one that I could think of that would be anywhere close enough to even hear anything.
Right? I've never heard the actual alarm go off. I don't know. I guess we have.
Yeah, me either. That's the first time.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're in the freaking mountains.
I mean, when I grew up in Michigan, that we had one right across the street. They tested it every Saturday at 1:00. It was the worst.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He'd be out doing something. So, All right. Well, yeah, we had the blooper show, which was awesome. Good time, of course. The blooper shows are always hilarious. And then we had our Girls of Prepper Camp show. Everybody, good feedback from that show. Everybody enjoyed that one. And I enjoyed that one. Like I say, I've been trying to get that show to go for like 4 years, and I finally, it wasn't hard to do. Everybody's there and willing. It was just me actually setting it up and doing it. So that was really, really fun. And
this was true Girls of Prepper Camp, not non-binary.
Oh gosh!
Yeah, I had to bow out, and I listened like everybody else as a participant in the background.
Yeah.
I didn't put a dress on and make mascara and join the.
Nah, I told him, get out of here. You're not.
I did ask her if she needed me to put a dress on for the.
I'm like,
the show that
night. No, you got a willy, that doesn't count. So, yeah. Appreciate everybody who listened to that show and took the time to reach out. That's really awesome, and I always appreciate it. All right, so Virgis. Last week we had the battle to take back Oregon when you weren't here. And then this week they got rerouted to the volcano in Idaho, and everybody's probably going, volcano in Idaho.
Build the bridge.
Right? Well, it's my story. I can put volcanoes wherever I want to. So it's my story. No, they've showed that Yellowstone has moved a whole bunch and everything. So I was like, yeah, we're putting it there. But in the process, he runs into Cassidy and Virgis and Cassidy, the ongoing love saga, got to have the love saga in there. So, and then Johnny kind of gets his first taste of welcome to the Badlands as far as what happens with people out there. So, and I tell you, reading some of the news that I have been reading today to catch up on the Changing Earth news. Wow. Brazil in particular, they're in big troubles. It's starting to look a lot like my story down there. So, I can go into background history on this. They did a horrific festival where basically Satan won over Jesus, and the flood's been coming ever since, basically. The guy who played the Satan character, he died unexpectedly, and then the floods have been coming ever since. So it's like, wow. Okay, I think that you guys probably shouldn't have done that, in my opinion. But still, prayers for everybody down there. That is just a horrific. We're going to really jump into it in the Changing Earth news, but it's not good. We're going to put it that way. It doesn't stop. The flooding's not stopping down there. So, and it seems like a year. We've been reporting on Brazil for a year, and it's just getting worse. So, definitely something the mainstream media is not talking about, but we should be aware of. My mom even mentioned, because she's the mainstream media guru, and she's like, you don't hear about that at all on Fox News. I wonder where they're getting their relief aid from. And I was like, wow, that's a darn good question right there. Where are they getting relief from if the United States isn't not really focused on it,
Well, so, it's not like we have big coffers left to...
Yeah, fair enough. They're just kind of tapped out like we're elephant ears over here. But, right? The pockets are blown out.
Yeah, pulling out the pockets. That's fine.
Yeah, elephant ears. So, yeah, so that's where Virgis is at, and we're going to continue on with his story next week. There's some fun stuff coming up. We're coming into the end of the book, and when you get to the end of a book, you don't want to put that thing down. So, speaking of also coming to fruition, I should say, we are going to get ready to launch season 4 of the Changing Earth audio drama. Guys, hang on to your seats, because we're going to hit the ground running with this story. And it is just not going to stop this season. I was looking at my scripts. I'm like, wow, I've packed a lot of content in. So we're covering 2 novels Battle for the South and Dark Days in Denver during this season. And anybody who knows my stories knows where it's going to end this season. So,
happy.
We're just going to
rainbow and unicorns.
Yeah, well, you started it out. We had to go into unicorns and fluffy land. So, yeah, it's going to be action-packed. I'm just debating now whether I'm going to do the launch. I think I'm going to do the second week of June or the last week of May. I will definitely keep you guys posted, though. But, yeah, I'm supposed to be headed out of town during the first week of June to do some deep sea fishing. But if you heard what happened in Houston, yeah, it's not good down there right now. So we'll see what that looks like. We also had another barge hit the bridge, the bridge that goes to Pelican Island in Galveston.
Yep.
And yeah, so somehow my dad was able to talk me into staying on an island and going out in the ocean.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Yeah. Just another day. So if anybody knows me really well, ocean is not something I do. So
yeah, you love that open water.
I love that open water. Woo, definitely. I grew up in Michigan. It's all freshwater. Huge, big, no sea creatures.
You float better in salt water.
Fair enough. Can't argue with you there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about surviving a volcano. I've never really lived by a volcano. I would say NorCal would be, the closest I've been to living by an actual volcano. I'm sure there's some that people don't know about up in there. But preparation is the best way to survive. Because I'm like, okay, how do you get out of lava? Like, how is there any way to undo this, right? Being prepared is the way to survive a volcano. There's just no way about it. The people that survived when Mount St. Helens went, they had evac plans in place. They were ready to go, knew their stuff, and left. None of this like hanging out. People stay with hurricanes or wildfires have done it, that kind of thing. But with a volcano, that would be one instance where I would say like better to err on the leaving side. Right? So they have tons of websites, especially like if you're living up by Mount Rainier, obviously the West Coast can be dabbled. But there's also sites down south in the desert. There's also an ancient super volcano that's under like Maryland. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So just because you're not by one doesn't mean that you might not want to like have knowledge on it. Also, once the earth starts really rattling and stuff, I mean, they can appear anywhere. It's not like, by the fault lines, but they can appear. Like new volcanoes are made. Old ones die kind of thing. So, just still good I would worry about fault lines in your area. Like be aware of like where certain fault lines are. Because that would be your biggest, that's where your earthquakes are going to happen. That's where any kind of that activity is going to happen. So that's another good thing to know about if you're like, well, I'm not anywhere near a volcano and I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, but where are you compared to the fault lines in your area? I'd think about that. AmericanSciences.org. Good website for learning about, just how to be prepared, that kind of thing. Know where the fault lines are and where the volcanoes are in the United States. Every week I look at volcanodiscovery.com. That's where I go and count up my volcano numbers. So, I love that place. Except they're always wanting money, but who isn't? We all need to do our business. I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Did you ever go to like someplace exotic where there would be a volcano there? Chin, you still there? Did I lose you? Well, we'll hear from Chin as soon as I hear from
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
How the heck did my mute just get on?
I don't know. Skype.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yep, Skype land.
Crazy.
Electronics have just been crazy, really, since the CMEs we had last week. Yeah.
I had everything in trash cans, Faraday bags.
Oh yeah. Well, seriously, you were not wrong to do so.
Loves comms.
Yeah.
So I had all my toys wrapped up.
Yeah. No joke. I was like, well, if it happens, like this is as prepared as I'm gonna get right here.
Yeah, right.
So
exactly.
that's it.
Honestly, that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we had the heads up that we knew something might be coming, so I did the best I could to protect what I had, and
yep,
just gonna have to roll with the punches after that.
Dave just kept echoing my head as far as like, when are you gonna wake up? And it was your last day to prepare.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, is today the day? Oh, I really hope not, because I had some plans in mind.
Yesterday was gonna be so awesome.
I know. It's like, dang it. So, yeah, you ever been to any place like exotic with volcanoes?
Oh, that's what I was trying to think of. I've been like the Bahamas and coast of Mexico. So that's about it.
Okay, Mexico.
Probably not.
I was in Costa Rica, and we're gonna go up to one of the volcanoes.
Yeah. No, I never like saw a volcano that I know of.
So I'm glad I didn't. Because after reading, and there was the hikers over in Indonesia. Like, when that volcano went, they all died out hiking. So even if you're on vacation, think about like, oh, we're just tourists. We're going to see the volcano. Well, you might want to have your preparedness gear with you then.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be classic me to be like, oh, I'm just going to wear cutoffs and do nothing. Right?
Oh, you don't know. Oh, you don't know the house, but I've got. It's like, can you not wear proper clothing for like being in the woods or around just sticky, pointy, hard stuff?
Yeah. Right.
Flip flops, or, shorts don't really cut it. No. Basketball shorts.
Right. I did that. Honestly, I did that last year. I never wear like shorts and stuff when I'm out hiking. I would go out hiking with Ragnar. I'm like, oh no, where are my cutoffs? We ended up getting lost, and it was raining by the time we were done. I was like, oh man. Yeah. So even when you're going out on these types of hikes, you're on vacation, that kind of thing, you want to go see the volcano, cool. You should usually have a mask with you and have goggles with you just in case. Those are like, the ash.
Yeah, we talked about that for protests.
Yeah, same.
Our protest show?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Goggles and some kind of lemon or something.
Yes. Yeah, lemon on your handkerchief. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, whoa, now the goggles, those swimming goggles are dual purpose now. Yes. 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 I totally was. The other thing that I actually found out, because I wrote it in my book, that so there's a volcanic eruption. They use gas masks, and in talking with Dave about it, a regular like the N95s or a painter's mask are actually preferred to a gas mask in those types of situations. Because
bigger particulates.
Yes, and the filters on a gas mask can just clog up constantly. Now you got to change those things out and go through all that, right? Or you don't.
So I was looking for today's show notes. They were talking about your cars too. And I thought about your show. Yeah, I mean your book series. Yeah. Remember they had problems with the filtration. They had special super duper stuff.
And they rework it so that the air filters in the cap. Yeah. Yeah. Sneak peek. So with vehicles and stuff like that, they say, immediately tarp everything. Because if that ash comes down on it, that's your worst, nightmare.
Don't you get the acid rain from that too?
Yes, you can. you can for sure. But even worse than the acid rain is like when the ash accumulates and then you get rain on top of it, it turns it into concrete. And so, so all of a sudden...
That's a problem with inhaling it.
Yes.
Because you get the ashes dry, particularly your moist lungs.
Exactly. So, and if it's on your roof piling up, it might be okay. But then it rains and it gets too heavy and it just will collapse all the roofs and stuff like that. So that's a big issue with the ash. So basically, if you're in the danger zone, you better know that you are in the danger zone.
Now Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
It's playing in my head. The danger zone.
To the danger zone. Yeah. Schools. Ask your schools what their plans are. Ask your place of employment what their plans are, right? And then know, like, when you guys separate for the day, this is normal stuff, know where you're going to meet up if something like that happens. So stay on top of it. Don't, these are normal preparedness plans that you should have already been thinking about. But if you haven't and you're in a volcano zone, you better start thinking about it. Especially now. I was kind of excited to see our volcano numbers for this week, and then I was like, oh. So, yeah. So normal prep kit, your normal EDC, what we are all preparing for every day, our normal kits to handle whatever that might come our way. But you also want to have that respiratory mask in there, like the painter's mask or the N95. The importance of people with respiratory problems having oxygen. Like if you have somebody who already has a respiratory issue, that's just going to make it really worse. So, being able to supply them with oxygen in an event like that might save their life. So, you don't have to keep an oxygen tank in your house. They have those little cool things that make oxygen now. So they also have, you can buy it in the can if you go to a sporting goods store.
Yeah.
They have oxygen
for athletes, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Little hits of oxygen.
Exactly. Yeah. To be able to take oxygen hits. Yeah. So, that's a great idea to have on hand just in case. Goggles, contact lenses. You're not going to want to have your contact lenses in, for sure. You want to make
dry. Yeah,
same thing. It gets in there, turn them to concrete. You'll have concrete on your contact lenses. So eyeglasses are the best bet. And make sure you have if you do have contact lens, you have lots of cleaning solution, that kind of thing. Plastic and tape to seal up your home. It's a good idea. Works during dust storms as well.
Yeah.
I mean, but I hadn't thought about that. So that is a quality idea as well. Dr. Bones talks about that a lot. Being able to have that plastic to be able to quarantine off stuff. So never a bad idea. I wonder where you can buy big rolls that would accomplish that type of job, other than Lowe's. Just look online.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just looking online for the oxygen.
Yeah.
Boost oxygen.
Yep.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Yep. Little cans. It looks like those little kitchen-size fire extinguishers, you keep under this thing.
Yeah, and they have the mask hooked right to it, so you just put that thing up to and. Yeah, what a great thing to have around, for smoke inhalation, all kinds of stuff. They just make these products. The preppers are like, yep, I gotta have those now. Okay.
Like this one, swag oxygen.
Swag. Because, you gotta have your hit, man.
Yeah.
Your oxygen hit. Okay, so during the disaster, you might be asked to evacuate due to lahars. Lahars are the mud ash flows. It's it's not just a flood anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, now it is the ash water coming down at you. And when that fills your house, it's excavator time to get it out of there. They probably just rip a lot of them down. Because of thick ash or incoming lava, of course, We all watched what was happening over in Spain with the one volcano. So when it starts coming, there's nothing you can do. You got to get out of there. You might be able to shelter in place if you're just, in an ash scenario. There a lot of people live around volcanoes in a lot of countries. Then they do just fine. But you do have to shelter in place sometimes because of that ash in the air. And then keep others informed. Be a chin where you're where you're giving information. You're able to develop networks where you can pass that information along, and
And think about in and out of the network, out of the area, real quick, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, I got a friend that lives there, and I try to quick send them a text or whatever kind of message, just to get them, just in case they didn't know, to get them looking.
Fair enough. Yeah, like, hey, this is going on in your area.
If they know, great. If they didn't know, well, they do now.
Yeah. And you just help information reach. Seems like we have a ton of information, but like we get overloaded.
Too much. Yeah. Overload. Exactly.
So you might not just pay attention to it, where if you reach out to a friend, you're going to pay attention. Oh, my friend told me this. I got to pay attention,
Yep.
So if ash is forecasted in your area, ash is coming down. I mean, if there was a Yellowstone eruption, then the whole country would have to be worried about this. There's another super volcano that's underneath Mammoth. I've been talking about so many volcanoes today. It just slipped my mind. But it's right below Mammoth in California, on the California-Nevada border there. A big super volcano like that goes, we all need to be aware of what to do when ash is going on. So if ash is forecasted, try to be home. Don't worry about traveling or going out. Your vehicle is going to get toasted from that ash. Just like in the book, it really will happen. They can't fly planes in the ash, and that's because it clogs the engines. Respiratory or heart problems, make sure you have your pain relievers handy. Your pets, your livestock, right? You can't put a mask on them. So if you have like a barn area, someplace you can bring your livestock in, that's going to be the best place for them. Also, your pets, keep them in the house so that they're not getting exposed to it, because it is a killer. That ash is really bad. Your tractors, stuff like that. Get them covered with tarps. You should have a ton of tarps. So, they're never a bad investment.
And don't start them up. Don't run them.
At all.
Yeah.
Yeah. If those air filters have to filter out that ash, they're going to be toast.
Yeah. If they're not running, you could probably, after the whole thing is over, clean it off. But if you're running, it's sucking that all up.
Yep. And then it can seize your whole engine. Water collection systems. There's a whole bunch of us who collect rainwater, for gardens, things like that. Make sure your rainwater collection systems are covered or disconnected from the bins where the water runs to, so that you don't end up with a bunch of ash in your water. Roof pipes. We all have the exhaust pipes, for your plumbing on your roof. Not a bad idea to cover those up. Go up there and put a little baggie over them or whatever, so the ash can't get in there, because that can screw up all the plumbing in your house. I learned a lot today. I was like, that's not a bad idea.
That vent stack, who would have thought, right?
Right. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it. And I was like, oh, that's totally true. It could just mess up the whole plumbing of your house. Turn off your heat pump and your AC. Sucks for in the South, in hot climates. But, man, it'll do the same thing to those filters that it does to a car. So turn that off. If you're outside, try to seek shelter. Try to seek shelter in a good area that, won't just collapse under the weight of the ash. Using your mask or cloth. Don't overload the phone network. So again, if you got that alternate communication method, you might be more successful with getting news than an overloaded phone network system. Seek info from official channels. So I'm sure like NOAA, those kind of things would be broadcasting what to do in your area under such an emergency. Even though, I mean, it's not really weather related, but I'm sure NOAA still would. And then they said, if there's ash in your water, let it settle and you can use the clear water. It's okay to use that water. Most of the time when water is contaminated with ash to a level where it's bad for you, it's going to be completely unpalatable first. Like you're going to be like, ugh, oh, never drink that. Right. So they said, it's safe. And it's usually really, really unpalatable before your water is contaminated to the point where it wouldn't be safe to drink. And then you can also still eat your garden stuff that was under ash, but you have to make sure you wash it off first.
We'll clean it, yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be okay. And, like Indonesia, I mean, this is like volcano place. And one of the reasons it's so great to grow there is because of all that good soil, So you'd figure they're used to kind of dealing with that kind of stuff. So yeah, the volcanic rundown. Now we know what to do. If one pops up, in Oklahoma, I'm ready. We'll see.
Like I heard, two other things that when I was looking up was pay mind to wind direction.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And pay mind to geography for valleys, riverbeds, stream beds, valleys, because you don't want to be downstream. Like you talked about the lava flow, the mud flow.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in that, you don't want to be in that
zone where the lahar is going to come down and just wipe you out because you're fair enough.
Like flash floods down
that's where most of the lives were lost
and stuff.
During Mount St. Helens was because of the lahars.
Remember those? Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy.
Like the trees coming down like in mad quantity and stuff.
It was like a river of this mud and ash and trees and debris and it was crazy.
Yeah. And that's what ended up killing the most amount of people in that catastrophe. So, I mean, it's a serious threat. Even more so. I mean, lava's actually kind of slow a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
It crawls, but those lahars don't crawl. They move. And if you're in the way, you're done for. That's a great point. And also the wind direction, another great point. You got to watch those wind currents. How is that wind going to be blowing that smoke around? Am I going to be in a danger zone or not? That's another great point.
A lot of these weather apps, you could choose what you want to watch. Like you can choose satellite or wind direction and speed, or participation
awards.
You get one.
I got a precipitation award today.
I got one of those too.
Great.
That's so. But you could choose. You could choose the wind direction map.
Yes. Yeah.
I used to do that at the coast a lot, so I could watch the storms because you could see the wind, right? And even without radar, you could see the wind and you could see the cyclones and stuff. So I used to put it on the wind a lot.
That's my favorite. I just put up in chat the Zoom Earth.
Yep.
I love that one. That one is so cool. You can go back in time. They give you a little bit of a forecast, but you want to watch what's happening with global weather patterns.
It's windly. One second, where is it? Windy.com, I think. It's a weather app that I really like for. You can play with all the different what it's showing you.
Watch the storms coming in. I do that radar one, but I'm not overly. I don't know.
Windy.com. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that Zoom Earth. I'm hooked. I could watch that thing for days. I go back a week. Ooh, let's see what happened in Indonesia.
I have a weather problem.
Yeah. I like to stare at the weather. It's cool. No, that one's cool though because they show you the tropical storms that we don't get to hear about because they just don't tell us what's going on globally, and it just makes the Earth into such a small place when you look at it on the Zoom Earth. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into some Changing Earth news. We got some interesting stuff to lay down today.
Oh, I love the news news intro.
Oh, you like that? That was James.
Oh,
that was our intrepid commander. He hooked us up. Yeah.
I'm loving it. Now that I've listened a couple times to the show and not just participate live, I get to hear all the cool stuff.
Right? Yeah, because you don't get to hear it. We just get to wait for it. Okay, here we go.
Dream. Survive. Thrive. This is Changing Earth News.
All right, Changing Earth News. So, weekly kind of wrap up. The northern lights from those solar flares went all the way down to New Caledonia. First time in history that they've ever been reported down there. It's crazy. And people are like, oh, look at the pretty colors. Well, if you know what all of this means, it is a clear example of just how weak the Earth shield is. We dodged a major bullet last week. There's a reason that Chin had all his stuff in the garbage cans. Because, yeah, that was a major bullet. We haven't had solar activity like that since the Carrington event. And, I mean, on the good side, we did really well with it. There are places that lost power. There are places that had explosions. Do your research on it. I'm not going to go through it all today, but it was a major bullet dodge. Even the company that I work for, half of our systems were all disrupted on Monday, and just issues. I don't know anybody that I've talked to lately who hasn't been like, my phone acted funny, or I've been, this has been acting weird, or that's acting weird. There's a reason for that. So, and then the storms we had this week were crazy sauce across the country. So I'm literally, that's my technical term, crazy sauce, because it was something else to watch when you're like, wow. And then come to find out it was across the globe. You know exactly why. It's because of this intense energy that we just got juiced with last week. So, the sun was a lot quieter this week. We are still having some M-class flares. That big guy that was lighting off all those X-class flares has gone around to the other side of the sun. He will be back around if it's still together. We'll just have to see what it looks like when it comes back around. But we do have some good ones. We had a big old filament release. There's other things to watch for besides just the sunspots. And there's a pretty big filament release today as well. And there's also a large coronal hole incoming. So that's going to be more earthquake watch for next week. And we've already had a major uptick at the end of this week. So, yeah, it's crazy to watch when you're putting all the pieces together and you go, oh, that was big. One of the biggest systems that was hit during this solar storm was GPS of farming equipment.
Yeah, I heard that.
Uh-huh. And the way they have those machines built now, only a John Deere certified shop, worker person can fix those machines. Like Farmer John can't go out and do it himself anymore, right? So there's now a 1 to 4 month backlog on getting those tractors fixed in the prime planting season. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with everything that Brazil's going through. Our country, of course, huge growing country. Brazil, huge agricultural producer. We have the war going on in Europe with all the Ukraine stuff. They're a huge agricultural producer that was already stunted last year. Prices of fertilizers are going crazy, and pretty much inflation's just crazy anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. I really suggest, as I've been doing, investing, making sure you guys have food back in your pantry. Any investment you do in food now is going to be worth it in the long run because the price is only going to go up. So, I'd make sure your preps are kind of shored up at this point. It's going to be interesting. We're along for a wild ride. With the blessing of the Lord, we will be all good. Alrighty. So, May 13th, 2024, we have 383 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.3 on the Eastern Pacific Rise. The South Caribbean had a 5.0 earthquake, and Fenley, Pennsylvania was hit by a huge tornado, lots of property damage. The Canadian fires have started back up, and Manitoba was under threat on the 13th. More wildfires. April 14th, 2024, there was 340 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in Papua New Guinea. A series of earthquakes hit Mexico, San Diego area, Guatemala. It was that one happened overnight, a 6.4 earthquake, a 4.5 earthquake. So there was some big activity going down at the border there, but in between the United States and Mexico. And it's pretty much been continuing, the shaking in those areas. So that can be good thing or bad thing. It can be a precursor for an earthquake, but it also can be a stress reliever. And that's best case scenario. So we had all this energy coming around the earth, and better for it to be released in a series of little earthquakes rather than get locked for one big earthquake. Box Elder County, Utah, had 75 earthquakes in just 3 days. One of those was a 4.5 in there. We always keep our eye on Utah because that is Yellowstone territory. I was just thinking, I said that they were in Idaho earlier when we were talking about Virgis. Not Idaho, they were in Utah. Sorry. I redact that statement.
You could say whatever you want to say. You wrote the story.
That's right. A 4.8 hit New York on the 14th. So just odd places. Taney County, Missouri was hit by a tornado. 31 were killed in floods and landslides in Indonesia. Kanaloa, Hawaii experienced some massive flooding after some really, really intense rains there. And in Canada, there's 140 wildfires already burning. Mumbai, India, they were hit with a major dust storm. A huge billboard collapsed and killed 14 people. And I'm not just talking like a little billboard that's on the side of the highway. This thing was massive. These people were like in their vehicles when this thing came down on top of them and killed 14 people. So that was some major wind going on there. And then in Ardahan, Turkey, they got hit with a freak snowstorm. 12 inches of snow coming down turns, spring into a blizzard. And yes, Turkey has mountain ranges. So, okay, snow in the mountains, But just kind of like eerie time of year with everything that's going on. So take it for what it is. I'm trying to think of the latitude of it. Like if you put it to the United States, what state would it be in line with? And I want to say it's like Tennessee type longitude. But I'm not sure on that. It'd be interesting. Gotta go to Zoom Earth and check it out for me. On the 15th of May, there was 402 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the North Atlantic Ocean. There was 2,000 earthquakes off the coast of Vancouver Island in Canada. So this is why I'm talking about the stress relief. You'd rather see these little earthquakes than giant ones. But 2,000 is a lot to see. And then Louisiana was hit with a tornado. Carolinas, that's the day that you guys had that huge storm that came in. One possible tornado touchdown there in the Carolinas. I think it was South Carolina. Kenya, 40,000 people are now displaced by flooding there. And they have a tropical cyclone that's getting ready to bear down on them. The name is like Iali. It's a cyclone that's headed their way. Should hit them about Tuesday. So prayers for everybody over there. They don't need any more rain, and I think they're about to get a lot more of it. Canada, thousands were evacuated in Alberta and BC with the threat of wildfire on their door. Fort Murray is an area that was under evacuation. Fort Nelson were under threat. So still lots of fires going on. Well, lots of fires have reignited up there. It doesn't look like this year is going to take a break from the fires up north. On the 16th, there was 343 earthquakes. There were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.4 in the Bismarck Sea. This is when Germany got absolutely hit with flooding. Massive storm comes in. Germany got hit. France got hit. Belgium got hit by that flooding. Jakarta, Indonesia. So they've been having all this flooding, and now they don't have any good water to drink. It's becoming a major problem over there to have potable water. So it's something to think about in flooding events. When all your water supply gets contaminated, then what do you drink? So Alexa Pures. You got to have your Alexa Pure. I stand behind that thing. I don't get paid to advertise for them. It's just a good system for filtering water. What'd you put up there?
An overlay of the United States over Europe, so you can kind of see
where Turkey is. Okay, I'm curious. We're going to take a minute from the 17th for this. Where does Turkey line up? Oh, Turkey's over there. Okay. Yeah, see, I told you, be like the Carolinas getting hit with a snowstorm right now. Yeah. So that's pretty incredible. That's pretty crazy. That,
No, maybe a little higher.
True. Maybe like Ohio Valley, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I think that'll work. Because that little pointy part that sticks out into the ocean, isn't that part of Jersey?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So that's part of Jersey. So, yeah, Pennsylvania, maybe a little bit of Virginia. Yeah, then going across Ohio.
But it's not like we're up in Maine,
No, it's
right?
not even Michigan.
Yeah.
It's south of New York. It's south of state of New York.
Yeah.
Maybe touched a little bit of Pennsylvania.
I mean, I guess it's kind of on track with where the coastal ranges are over in California, and they got a winter storm.
Yeah.
Last week? I want to say last week. So, okay, I can see that.
That's an interesting map, huh?
That is an interesting map.
Look how far north France is.
Right. And I always think Spain's like small, and it's not. It's huge, like way bigger than California. Yeah.
That's an interesting map.
It is an interesting map. I'm gonna save that one. Thank you, Chin.
Look at Israel is way down. By
like Florida. Well, not.
No, probably South Carolina, Georgia. The bottom of South Carolina, straight through Georgia, kind of neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. And then like northern Africa is like Texas.
Imagine that.
I can imagine that, actually. I live here. Yeah. That is really cool. Thank you. Yep. Good find. Alrighty. So on May 17th, there was 354 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in the Tasman Sea. Hawaii had a 5.8 in the Kermadec Trench. It was downgraded to a 4.8. Good old USGS, always downgrading everything. There was a 3.8 earthquake in Dyersburg, Tennessee, which is interesting. Houston, Texas got annihilated. I mean, they had winds go through downtown, and the power lines look like a giant cat came in, and it was a yarn ball.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious.
Nice visual.
Yeah. Not just like the little lines. These are like the giant ones, they have like the multi-tiers.
It's like you can't be on the Ghostbusters, because remember he thought of the Stay Puft Man.
Yeah. Yeah, don't ever put me there,
big
dude.
Cat playing with a yarn.
Have you read my stories? Yeah. That's true. And it does. It's a mess. So, lots of people were without power, and the city officials, were like, hey, we can clean up the road debris. That's going to be like tomorrow afternoon. But these power lines are going to take a minute to get repaired, right? And there's like 100+ degree weather coming in this week. So nobody's going to have air conditioning. 4 to 9 people already died in that event that happened there. So we're just keeping eyes on. They're going to try to bring in like some cooling centers and stuff like that for people that are in Houston, because it's not good. It's not. With the heat wave that we're supposed to get this week, it's not going to be pretty. And then I was more reading about Brazil, and they are actually building tent cities in Brazil for displaced people. 538,000 people displaced by the flooding there. That is a serious amount of people that lost their homes, that don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So they definitely need some prayers down there. 143 people dead so far. On the 18th of May, there was 463 earthquakes or 2.0 or bigger. Big uptick in activity there. That's like 110 more earthquakes than the day before. 5.7 in Bismarck Sea, Papua New Guinea, in that area. There was a large earthquake swarm that took place on the San Andreas Fault. About 200 earthquakes by the time Saturday night hit. So again, like I was saying, if it's going to relieve pressure that way, then we'd rather have that than a major event. There's also a 2.2 that hit northern Georgia. Kind of an odd little spot to be hitting again. All these little odd places. And then more tornadoes touching down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They've just been getting walloped this season. And Europe has flooding in the north, heat waves in the south. They're really in a mess with their weather as well. And then Afghanistan had a massive flooding event last week, about 318 people dead in that event. And they had another flooding event this week, about 50 more people died in that incident. So far, when I was looking at the reports today, 419 earthquakes were already marked on the map. Biggest of which was a 6.0 in the North Pacific Ocean by Alaska. So that's movement. It's just movement that's going around the ring of fire, because it's been super agitated by all of this electromagnetic energy. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And then, like I said, Tropical Storm Eiley is headed for Kenya. Our volcano numbers are rather... Oh, and the fog. The fog takes down the president of Iran in his helicopter. And I was just thinking nefarious right off the bat, right? Like, that's nefarious activity. But when you see the pictures of that fog, you're like, wow, okay, that is some thick fog. Like, that's legit there. So, as far as volcanoes, we had been rolling with 33 erupting volcanoes for so long. It really was starting to concern me a little bit, because that is a very high number. I've been watching volcanoes for years now, and to see 33 actively erupting is odd, but then to see it week after week after week was like, wow, okay, that's definitely different. So it did go back down to 31. However, those two were just reduced to minor activity. So technically, they're still like erupting. And we actually added one more to our overall list because the number in unrest went up one. So overall, we actually just ticked up another volcano onto our list. And yeah, those two might not be like actively erupting, but they're still showing minor activity. So I wasn't as, I thought I was going to be a little bit more relieved than I was when I looked at volcano numbers today. Okay, as far as wildfires in the United States, honestly, the fires up in Canada are just taking precedence. So if you're anywhere in the world and there's like wildfires happening, I'd love to hear about it. It's just the algorithm is just flooded with Canadian wildfires. So that is what's going on as far as that goes, as far as the world report goes. But in the United States, there was 7 new fires in the United States. There's only 7 burning, so those new ones, 6 of them are contained. It's 19,795 acres, which isn't very much when you look, compare it to hectares. In Arizona, there's 5 fires burning, total of 13,246 acres, so they're obviously our number one number. 3 new fires, only one of those is contained at this time. In Oregon, there's 1 fire burning. This is a new one. It is contained, and it's at 6,340 acres. And then coming in at number 3, Minnesota. 1 new fire, 209 acres, not contained at this time. I also have an on-the-ground report from one of our PBN chat members, and he put up some great pictures of a meteor that flew over Portugal and Spain today. And so, yeah, that was funny because I was talking to him about it. And like the blue Hopi star prophecy. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up. I've talked about it on the past shows.
Right?
What?
You've talked about it before.
Yep. Yeah, when we talk earthquakes and stuff. But, yeah, so it looks so blue. And I was like, was it blue? And he's like, yeah, it ruptured into, like, totally blue. And I was like, oh, boy. I keep out my eye out for that blue star, you know. So, very interesting that happened today. And then I saw it come across on the real news, or not the real news, but on, like, you know, my YouTube algorithm. And I'm like, haha, yeah, I already got the inside information on that one, you know. So I appreciate you guys sharing stuff like that, both in our online chat, and feel free to reach out anytime you have something like that should be part of the Changing Earth news for the night. Crazy going on, right?
Yes.
I know, and I just think it's going to keep upticking. It's a super exciting time to be alive, guys. It's scary on one hand, but like, if your faith is strong, it is. But if your faith is strong, there's just nothing. For you, Sarah. What?
We need to get you a new hobby.
Oh, no way. I would have, if I could go back in time, I would have definitely minored in geology. That's so into it. My mom probably wishes I would get a new hobby, though. I'm like, did you see that? Because of the flooding, she's like, oh, no. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for sticking around for the Changing Earth news and joining us for another episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Please head over to my YouTube channel, author Sarah F. Hathaway, or just look for Changing Earth. Like and subscribe over there. Head on over to the website, become a subscriber, help the Changing Earth world go round. That is always appreciated. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.